morning. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. I'm Michael D. Day, and we are proudly broadcast on WHYR 96.9 FM. And this morning we're lucky to have Councilwoman Donna Collins Lewis, District 6 in East Baton Rouge Parish. And just for disclosure, she is my council person in Baton Rouge. On November the 4th, 2008, Donna Collins Lewis was selected by the citizens of District 6 to serve as their new voice in East Baton Rouge Parish on the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro City Council. As a member of the council, Donna's mission is to assure representation for all District 6 constituents and to work with the mayor and her colleagues to assure that Baton Rouge truly becomes one of America's great cities. We're going to drop down here. Donna brings 20 years, probably more now, right?
Yeah, more now.
Donna brings over 20 years of experience in public service to the Metro Council. She has worked as a housing administrator for the Urban Restoration Enhancement Corporation, managed a lease purchase homeowner program for New Hope Community Development Corporation, and served as a resident initiative coordinator for the Baton Rouge Housing Authority. As the manager for the Louisiana Family Recovery Corps, Donna's traveled the state of Louisiana connecting families and communities with resources necessary to rebuild their lives in the aftermath of Hurricanes Katrina and Rita. We're going to leave it there, Councilwoman Lewis, and I want to welcome you to the show. And for you and all our listeners, if you'd like to pick this up later, you can go to YouTube, Baton Rouge Labor Radio, and we rebroadcast there, or we rebroadcast on Baton Rouge Local 198 on Facebook. We thank you again, Councilman Lewis, for coming in, and I guess we're going to let you, I don't know if you have much competition this time in your re-election campaign, but there's a couple of things. I live in your district that you, and I wanted to bring up Pamela Smith.
Yes.
Bulldog.
Yes, she is, to say the least.
Either way or the other.
Yes.
I had a couple of concerns in my neighborhood, and she took care of it. She handled it in a timely manner. And I mean, one of them was kind of a touchy matter, too.
Yeah, it was, but we handle touchy matters.
And it still stands today. And I'm going to be honest with you. I look for reasons not to vote for candidates. That's what I do.
Okay, Mr. Day.
I couldn't find one not to vote for you.
Well, I really appreciate that. Really do.
I could find a couple not to vote for Kip, the red light cameras, this, that, the other, but not enough not to vote for him.
Great.
Anyway, I guess I've got two questions starting out. The first question would be, why are the majority of people in East Baton Rouge Parish against a decent public transportation system? And there's no other way to look at it, but a majority is against that.
Well, I don't know. First of all, let me say good morning to you again, Mr. Day, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. And good morning to the listening audience. As you know, I serve on the board of directors for CATS, was appointed to the board right after I was elected to office. And it's something that we've been working on for a long time. We know that most reliable public transit systems do have a dedicated source of revenue. And looking at the situation internally at CATS, we knew that we had to do something to assure the survival of that system. And outside of a revenue that was going to be a continual source, there was no way that the transit system in Baton Rouge would have continued.
I'm in favor of I lived in New York City for years, D.C., places that had reliable public transportation. And I just don't understand it, why there is so much turmoil against that, though. I mean, they got one guy running a campaign for mayor just on that, just about that, and, you know, putting secretaries with the police out on the street or something. I mean, but, you know, I just don't understand it. Even people that don't use it personally, they're hiring people that are working for right above minimum wage or minimum wage, and you've got to have insurance on your car, and I see this city is getting bigger, and I just can't understand why it's not running from Zachary all the way over to Livingston Parish.
Exactly.
And covering everything.
Right.
And that gives me an option if I don't want to take my car. It takes cars off the street. There's less maintenance for the street. God knows.
We need that.
I mean, you know. But I guess that's just the way it is. You got to, and you guys have done good trying to get a revenue stream to that bus company, and I just hope everything works out with that.
Well, I hope it works out. We're facing a few challenges, but when you talked about drivers being on the street or not being on the street, I was rear-ended on Monday by a driver on the street who hit me from the back while I was sitting at an intersection waiting for someone to turn. And then when I looked back around, the car had backed up and pulled off. So undoubtedly, that should have been somebody who should have been on the bus and not on the road, because usually when people leave the scene of an accident, it's because they don't have proper insurance or there's something else going on. But I think the bus system is not only crucial for the people that use it every day, but it's also crucial for the economic growth of our city. I too lived in a big city, lived in Chicago for a number of years, and could jump on a bus, and actually never drove to work or anywhere else, because you can jump on a bus and go anywhere you wanted. So I think anytime you say taxes, there's going to be an uproar or an outcry. I don't use the public transit system at this point in my life, but there was a time when it was the only thing that I had to get me back and forth to work and get my kids to where they needed to go. So I see the importance of it. I don't mind paying the extra tax. I'm not a rich woman. I'm not wealthy by any means. But I do see the need to sow into the lives of someone else through that tax for cats.
I agree with you. I see people up early in the morning catching the bus every morning. And I've got friends that'll say, I saw 3 people riding the bus, you know, why? And this and that and the other. And I just don't understand the mindset down here. I mean, like I said, in New York, I parked my car. I drove up there. And, I mean, unless I wanted to pay $9 to cross the GW Bridge every day and about $16 to park.
Exactly. If you were lucky to find somewhere to park.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I guess another question I have is, in my opinion, I see there's a lot of work that's been going on with the sewer system.
A lot, to say the least.
Why does it cost so much?
Well, you know, we started out with this plan long before I got into office.
Right.
Actually, I believe it started back in the 80s.
30 years ago, 40 years ago.
It's been a long time ago. And as with anything else, the prices of everything increases. I don't think that when this originally started out, there was any idea that it would cost the city payers and the taxpayers this amount of money, but it's something that we're mandated to do, and we really don't have a choice.
Now, a friend of mine who is really anti-tax, anti-sewer, anti-everything, wanted to know, why weren't they doing this all along with the money they were already getting?
Well, they were doing some work. I think now you do see a major shift, increase, because now that it's almost like in other things in life where you wait till the last minute and you get pushed and you have to do it. So right now there's a mandate on the table. We have to fix our sewer system.
Mandate from the federal government.
Mandate from the federal government. And so we're up against a timeline. And so you are going to see a lot more sewer work going on around the city at this time.
Okay. Well, I guess, would you, I mean, you're up for re-election. Like I said, I don't even know anybody that's running against you. I haven't been. But anyway, and I guess I'm going to have to find that out and ask them if they want to come on, but yes, for equal time. But highlight some of what you feel you've got done in that as an accomplishment as far as you're concerned for the city, and made you feel good about being able to get something done.
Well, one of the things that I feel really proud about is in my last 4 years, I've worked across my district. It's how I met you. And I've worked with civic associations, with churches, with community organizations across my district to get to know people, first of all. It's a very dynamic district. It's very diverse in terms of its population. And so what I did was just got out there, went door to door, attended those civic association meetings, working with the organizations that had defunct civic associations, helping them to get them back on board again. I believe the greatest strength that any community has are the people that live in that community. And so while I'm their voice in the community, I need to hear what they're saying so that I can be that voice. We've worked very hard with the RDA in terms of some economic development across the parish, but what I'm most proud of about in District 6 is the project that's coming to the Smiley Heights area, where the community college will be expanding its footprint and where the Department of Education will be locating their career center. So there's a lot of things that's going on around the city. On Florida Boulevard, it's an overlay district. We're looking at doing some things to change that. Worked closely again with the developer of the old Broadmoor Shopping Center to put a facelift and to bring commerce and economic development back there. So.
Now, I live near the old Broadmoor Shopping Center, and man, you're not going to believe this, but I want to go back to, I hear things are going to be happening there,
yes.
and I know people are interested in that, but a little short story of my experience at the Broadmoor Theater. I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade.
I was just going to say that's a long time ago, right?
Right. I was in the 6th or 7th grade. I was going to the movie with my girlfriend, and we were going to see To Sir with Love. Very controversial at the time.
Very.
And some redneck threw a smoke bomb in the theater while we were in there.
That could not have been fun.
Well, it turned out to be okay, you know. Ooh,
yes.
You know. But I hear that they have a major grocer that's coming in there, and they're going to have a food court and different things.
Yes, there's someone looking. You can see if you just pass by there, the developer's done a great job with the area.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Planet Fitness.
Yeah, which I'm a member of, which I don't need to go very much more than I do. But I think it's just a great thing that's happened along that corridor. There's some other developers looking at the old Blue Cross Blue Shield building. They did a tax credit application to do some senior housing there. So there's a lot of things going on in the district, a lot that's happened, but a lot still that needs to go on.
Well, I tell you, it looks a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah.
It's really, now is there anything going to happen with the theater part of it?
Yeah, he's looking to either have someone to buy the theater, and if you, over in the corner with a little tattoo parlor and the store, the retail store, there were some people interested in it. If not, he's actually going to have that demolished and have some other development on the site.
Because I know some people several years back went to see about maybe putting a flea market there.
Right.
And I mean, friends of mine, and you know, I know NASCAR owners.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but a friend of mine was interested, and he asked me to go inquire about that, and that they wouldn't even talk to us because I think the building was not in the condition that they could lease it out. Something about a tree growing in the middle of it or something. It's
been vacant and abandoned for a long time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But the last thing that was there was a flea market.
It was in that building. It was a flea market in the building, yes.
So I guess, what do you think of the new police chief?
I have a great respect for Chief White. I think he has a hard task before him in terms of getting the department to where it needs to be, in terms of the number of officers that are available, but just getting the department on the same page in terms of serving the citizens of Baton Rouge.
The Brave thing for you, the thing where all the composite law enforcement, right?
Yes.
Do you think that's working out for the city and the parish?
Well, as you know, the Brave project is just getting off the ground, but I do, from what I've seen, I've had them at some of my community meetings to talk to the citizens of the parish. And I think that their goals are going to be great. I think that when accomplished, that they will result in some things that will change the city. They're looking at getting violent offenders off the street. You know that they did just receive a 3-year grant And so I think that they've set out on a tough task. So I think that they're going to be successful in accomplishing that. And one of the things the reason I think they are going to be successful is because they are working with the community to make that happen.
Well, I've seen them lurking around the neighborhood.
Yes.
You know, different cars and stuff like that. And that's a good thing. Now, this morning, I can't find it, but there's a constitutional amendment that makes it easier to pack a concealed weapon. And, you know, I'm thinking, I live in the neighborhood, I ramble around the neighborhood. I got a 10-month-old that's going to be out in the yard here shortly, okay?
Okay.
Bad knees, everything else works fine, but for an old man. In my opinion, I think it's easy enough to get a gun now.
I think it's too easy. And the people that really don't need them are the ones that are...
I mean, I've got guns.
Okay.
Legal guns. But...
I don't think that's the kind that they're talking about.
Well, and I've got friends that tell me that live in 70805, good friends, people that work every day and just, you know the story.
Yeah.
That $20 you can go get a gun on the street.
Oh yeah, for the
$20.
That's true. That's why there are so many guns on the street that are not legal.
And you know, and another thing I'm out in the Gonzales area a lot, and you've got that gun show out there.
Yes.
Where you can go in the parking lot and buy an AK-47 or a Uzi without papers, ID, or anything. Gun show exception, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't think that's helping our city.
Well, I don't either. I know you probably looked at some of the debate, and that was one of the issues of the debate the other night with AK-47s being able to be purchased by just your normal John Doe citizen. And I think those are weapons of war. I think they're assault weapons. I don't really see the need for the average citizen to own that type of gun. I know people argue about the hunting and those types of things, but that's a pretty...
What do you hunt with a machine gun?
I have no idea. I don't know. My son hunts. So I'd have to ask you that one.
Well, I guess, what are your goals for if you're reelected for another term?
Well, I do plan to be reelected to the next 4 years. Really, I tell people I'm really looking forward to the next 8 years on the council. But simply put, I have a plan in place which I like to call the big plan, which I'm going to focus on in the next 4 years, and it is blight elimination, infrastructure improvement, and code enforcement. And I think the three go hand in hand with enhancing our communities, our city, with dealing with issues of crime. Because if you look at the blight around the city, anytime there's a blighted area or a vacant house within the neighborhood, it's overgrown, it's a habitation for crime to take place. There's sometimes drug dealing going on in those vacant houses, or there's prostitution or homeless people sleeping, and those are some of the complaints that we get within the community from people that are in situations where there's blight. Infrastructure, we talked about that a little bit. We know that there's a lot of work to be done around the city on our bridges and our streets and just sidewalks and anything within the community. And then code enforcement. There is no shortage of codes on the books in our city or in our parish, but just the idea of enforcing those codes. So those are some of the things I'm going to focus my attention on over the next 4 years, as well as continuing to work across the district with constituents to make things happen.
Now, code enforcement, give us a little view of that. What are you talking in that sense of the word code enforcement? I mean, as far as specifically to like blighted areas and...
Yeah, blighted areas, overgrown lots, abandoned properties. One of the major problems that we have in the city are especially during the summertime, are overgrown lots. Owners, they won't cut them, and the city can only get around so many times within communities to make that happen.
Now, and let me bring up, we're speaking with City Councilwoman Donna Collins-Lewis, who is the City Council person of District 6, my district, and we've got a few minutes left with her, and hopefully she might stay over for another 20 minutes. I don't know if you have the time. But a subject that I'll just touch on real quick. I buy adjudicated lots. And you got to jump through hoops of fire to do that. And that's blighted property that people haven't paid their taxes on for years.
Yes.
And I think, in my opinion, making that process easier with the sheriff's department and the parish would really help out. I bought a lot on West McKinley, and I bought a lot in Central. The lot in Central took me a year to get a quiet title on, you know?
There are thousands of adjudicated properties across this parish. And one of the challenges is just what you're talking about. When I worked with the nonprofit, and I still work for a nonprofit in housing, that's my passion. But the nonprofits were looking to do some rehabilitation within communities and looking at vacant lots. But the issue was being able to quiet title. It takes a long time, and then it takes money.
A lawyer.
It takes a lawyer. It takes money. So that's, again, one of the things that we are working closely with the RDA and looking at the future BR plan to be able to come up with a process there whereby titles can be quieted a lot quickly. We're not trying to take anybody's property away from them, but we're trying to make sure that the blight is removed within communities.
A matter of fact, the lot that I have on West McKinley, it was listed for 3 days by a real estate agent, and there was someone that came from the neighborhood that wanted to buy the lot to build on the lot because they were renting there and they wanted to own their own home, and they figured, and it's an affordable deal, very affordable deal, and but that lot had been sitting there adjudicated for years. I bought the lot. The real estate agent lady put a sign on it, and we get a call for the lot 3 days later.
Oh, yeah. People want to buy those properties. It's just the process in terms of getting
right.
it. Some people,
well, and people don't want to go through the process.
No, and a lot of people just simply can't afford it. It's not a cheap process.
Right. No, it's not.
It's not a cheap process.
It's not. And, like I said, do you have any other things you're looking at in the next 8 years?
Thank you for saying that. But again, just want to continue to work looking at the district as a whole. There's growth needed in some parts of the district. Definitely want to continue to look at economic development. I currently work for a housing developer who's out of Idaho, who's built some property here, and we're doing actually a rehab of a 207-unit property that's going to provide decent, safe, affordable housing for local.
Is that across the street?
It's actually, no, this one is actually off of Florida Boulevard behind the Breck headquarters, the old Ardenwood Park.
Oh, okay, because there's one someone's doing right behind our Union Hall.
That's the Housing Authority. That's actually the nonprofit arm of the Housing Authority, Partners for Progress.
You know, in the last couple of minutes we have, I will tell you that when they built the housing thing right by McClellan, I forget the name of it, but I was riding down McClellan on the old houses that used to be blue-collar construction workers, which is now predominantly black folks live in. Yeah. When those houses were being completed on the other side of the McClellan Drive, you know, I guess they call them zero lots, but they're nice homes, and they have restrictions. You can't be arrested and stuff like that.
They do. Yes.
And man, I looked on the side as I was riding down McClellan on the other side, for rent, for sale, for rent, for sale. People were just jumping out of there like crazy, going across the McClellan Drive, buying houses.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a wonder what you can do when you give somebody a shot at being a homeowner.
Exactly.
I agree with you.
I love it. I've worked in home ownership with families, helping them to clean up credit to make it possible for them to become homeowners.
And I'm sure you know Sybil Holt's work.
Yes.
Yes, and that's amazing to me.
Yes, it is.
You know, I mean,
it's what happens when people get involved in community and want to make things happen for other people.
That's what it seems like you're doing.
Yes.
You know, we're done here, and I want to thank Councilwoman Donna Collins Lewis, District Council 6, right?
Correct.
My district council lady, and a very responsive office that is run by Pamela Smith, a legislative aide.
Yes.
And anyone in Council District 6 that has a problem, could you give them a number?
389-5165. And Pamela is always available to help.
She's a bulldog.
Mr. Day can testify to that.
She's a bulldog, and she don't take no crap. Let me tell you.
Everybody at City Parish Government knows Pamela Smith, because when someone calls my office for assistance, even if there's something that we can't get worked out or is beyond our control, we try to connect you with the resources that you need to get it done.
Well, everything I brought up there, and some of them were touchy subjects, got done. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
I don't have one reason not to vote for you again.
Well, I hope the entire listening audience who's in my district would feel the same way as you do.
There's signs all over the place. I don't know how you got them there, but you did.
Just by the work that we've been doing in the community.
And thank you, Councilwoman Donna Collins-Lewis. This is Baton Rouge Labor Radio. I'm Michael D. Day, and we're proudly broadcast on WHYR 96.9 FM, and you can pick us up on YouTube at Baton Rouge Labor Radio or our Facebook page, Baton Rouge Local 198. Remember, as we always say here on Baton Rouge Labor Radio, and I'm sure the councilwoman would agree, if you work for free, you'll always have a job. Live better. Work union. Have a nice day.
This is Mike's producer, Big Slim, reminding everyone November 6th is the day to vote. Vote early, vote often. Also, the last week here in October, you can vote early at the voter registrar's office and also at the State Archive building over on Essen Lane. Get out to vote, everyone.